What's up everybody, Doom back. Welcome to a brand new video. So obviously there's a whole new setup for these piano tutorials. Ever since I did my Shin Gojira piano set 1, a lot of people requested me to teach them the songs I played. I figured what better place to start than Persecution of the Masses, the song that I already somewhat taught on this channel before. I did a Shin Gojira theme tutorial. Now this tutorial is very inaccurate, and it is much more simplified than the version we're going to be playing here. I played it in the wrong key. I played it up here, where it should be played down here. So it is very inaccurate, although it is a much more simplified version of the song. So if you really need a simplified version of how to play Persecution of the Masses, I guess go watch that video, link down below. If you want to know all the different songs that I'm going to wind up teaching, go check out that piano set 1 down below, as well as if you have any suggestions, leave them down below. So I'm going to be teaching Persecution of the Masses here today. New setup, new camera. I don't know if the angle is going to 100% work, but we'll do it for this time, and we'll see how it goes, as well as new recordings for audio. So I know it is a bit echoey in this room. It just happens when I talk this loud. It's a big open room, so there's not a lot to ground the noise. So it's going to echo a little bit, and I'm not sure how 100% crystal clear the audio is going to be. I've never used this kind of setup before, so I guess we'll just try it for this time, and then we'll see how it goes, and then we'll move on from there, and we'll just adjust to make it better and just keep making it better. Starting out for Persecution of the Masses, I'm going to play the song for you once just so you can hear the finished version. I'm going to play the movie accurate version instead of the one that I played in that piano set. I'm going to be teaching both versions, the movie accurate version as well as my version, simultaneously. So the only difference is my version emphasizes the parts when they're singing, whereas the original does not. So I'll leave a timestamp on screen here so you guys know where to skip to for the tutorial. If you want to listen to me play the full song, you guys can stay around to listen to what you're going to wind up learning how to play. there you go. That was the final product, Persecution of the Masses. Yeah, I had a couple mistakes here and there, but you know, I really want to stress this for people who are coming into this expecting it to be easy. This is a very challenging song, especially when you're playing it the way I play it. If you want to play a way more simplified version, you could do it on one hand each. You could do only one octave on each hand, so it would sound like this. Something like that. So, you know, that one doesn't sound as grand, you know, it doesn't sound as good to do. Whereas if you're doing both at once, it sounds really great. So, I guess without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. I'm going to break this song into sections so that it's a lot easier for you guys to figure out. So let's get into it. Starting out, you have the repeated portion of 8, which is going to sound like this when finished. So on for 8 times, well 4 times, and then we'll switch it up at 5 to 8. So here's the notes you're going to be playing. You're going to play from G to D sharp, so it'll sound like this. Then you're going to go back down to G, double tap, go up to D, double tap G, C, double tap G, back up to D, double tap G. Now you hit D sharp again, back to G, only once, and then you go up to an F. In total, that'll sound like this. I'm going to play it slow, so you guys, if you can play along, and then I'll move faster. So it'll sound like this when finished, and I'll play it slow. Here's full speed. What I like to do is I like to hold down the sustain key to give it more of a string sound, much like the actual song pedal. The sustain pedal is the furthest right pedal for those of you who don't know. It'll really help make the song sound more whole. It'll also add more emphasis to here in a minute when you switch that part up. So you're going to continue this 4 times, and now is where it gets a little bit different. So also another thing you're going to want to do, I know it's not very obvious here because I turned the weight to my keys down, that way it would be more noticeable when I hit a key. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start quiet and grow in volume all the way to the 4th one. When you hit the 5th time you play this section, keep the exact same notes, take your foot off the sustain pedal, and make your notes staccato. If you don't know what that means, it means don't hold the notes for the full time you're supposed to hold them, just kind of quickly tap them. So it'll sound like this once you get to that part. Now, if you want to make it sound like the song, you're going to have to add some swing to your notes, which means the first couple notes are going to be held for a little bit longer, so it'll sound like this. And then it'll just continue from there. Here's the second portion of the song. This one is a lot trickier than the first portion, so you're going to have to go slow. It'll take you quite a bit of time. It took me forever to figure this portion out. This is also the portion that I screw up on most when I'm trying to play it. So once again, just take it slow. You'll figure it out eventually. You're going to start on G. You're going to end the first 8 measures is going to end on G with, but you don't just go back up. This time you're going to go down. You're going to go from G to G flat or F sharp, depending on which one you want to call it. So it'll sound like this. From here, you go back up to G. Then you're going to drop way down to C. You're going to jump up to a D sharp. Then you're going to hit the D. Back up to D sharp. You're going to jump back down to the low G. You're going to hit that C again. Then you're going to hit the B. Back to C. D. D sharp. F. Down to D sharp. This is the most tricky portion of the section. You're going to go from G sharp to A sharp, down to G. Then from here, you're going to continue that kind of pattern. You're going to go down to F to G to D sharp. From D sharp, you're going to go from D sharp to F, down to D. C to D to B. There you go. Once you put this all together, I'll play it slow. It should sound something like this. That's the easiest portion to mess up on because it's really hard when you're going fast full speed and then then so on. Now, this next portion is going to be really cool. I love this part. So you go from G, F, D sharp, D, down to A, down to C. So it'll sound like this. When you hit this low C, you can hit the high G up here. This should be the middle C's G. So it'll sound like this. And then you're going to continue the song from there. So in total, this full section should sound like this. Now congratulations, you figured that out. But the better news is, once you figured that out, you pretty much figured the rest of this portion out, because you're going to continue this pattern on all the notes leading up. So when you're continuing this pattern, you'll play it up here too. Make sure you hit this C and hold it through the whole portion, so it'll sound like this. This is the only different part. Instead of going back down to the C, you're going to play up to the next G. It's going to just be continuous notes. It's just going to be climbing the stairs up. So it'll be from A all the way up to G. The only difference is you're going to hit the D sharp, so it'll sound like this. Very slowly. And then you're going to repeat the same pattern moving up. So it'll sound like this. Also, make sure when you hit this high G, you're going to hit this C at the same time as this C. So you're going to hit the 3 notes at once, and it'll sound like. And then you just continue that pattern. And then you just keep going up. So in total, this full section, you're going to play up to this octave. But then once you get here, it'll be a little bit different. So I'll show you that in a second. So in total, this whole section should sound like this. Then, like I said, you continue the pattern. Minus my mistakes. And then instead of going up even more, or down like this, you're going to play down here. You're going to play. Because that'll be introducing the main portion of the song. So once you put all this together and you get the. Jump way down here to middle C, but you're going to play the G, F, D sharp, D. Now you're going to play octaves if you can. If it's too complicated, don't worry about it. You're going to play the C's at the exact same time as the D's. Then you're going to play up to the D sharp. I'm going to teach this portion separately on separate hands because it'll be much easier for you that way. You're going to play this on your left hand. You're going to play C to D, down to A sharp, finally down to F, back up to G sharp, then you're going to play down to F again, up to G, finally you're going to end with A sharp. So it'll sound like this once you finish it. Because the original song has more instruments playing right here to make it sound more orchestral, what I do to give this full grand sound to it is I play the left-hand notes multiple times. I play them a total of 3. So I do this. So it's a little bit tricky to figure out. It's just you play it, you pause, and then you play it twice. When you play on the right hand, it's pretty simple. You're going to play 3 times in a row, as I just taught earlier. That's the only different part, is when you play it the fourth time, you're going to hit the D's again, and then you're going to play an F instead of a D sharp. You could either hold this note down continuously to make it sound like this, or you could play this D every time you play this D to make it sound like this. It's a matter of preference. The original song doesn't make it clear how it's played. Keep in mind I don't have any sheet music, and I can't write any sheet music because I just don't know how to write sheet music, and I didn't get any. I play by ear. So if you were going to ask about that, I'm sorry, I cannot provide that. This is how you're going to play it when you put it all together. Repeats itself twice. So now once you finish that section, here's where I diverge from the original song in the way I play it. You could play it the original way, which is like this. The exact same notes, you're just going to be playing octaves on the right hand. Instead of this, you're going to be playing this. That's how the original song does it, so if you want, you can play it like this. In total, it should sound like this. There's a part that comes after that we'll teach here in a minute. So you could play it like that. Here's the way I play it in order to give some extra emphasis to the singing parts. So because the choir sings per se and they go down when they're singing Persecution of the Masses, they go down, their voices go down. So I play it where I go down as well. So it should sound like this in my version. All you're going to be playing is this. Is instead of hitting the F, you're hitting the C, and you're hitting it the first time as well. So you know, it should sound exactly how I just played. The second time you play, it's a little bit different. So in total, when you put my portion together, it'll sound like this. Because you're just following the choir's direction at that point, you're not playing the original background notes. I think that sounds a lot better. It makes it sound much more accurate because it makes it sound like the singing's going on. I really do prefer that version than the way that it's played. Not saying that I prefer that over the original song, I'm just saying when you're playing it solo on piano, I think that will make it sound better than if you're just playing up. So if you're wondering, there was someone who I've talked about on this channel before. His name is HKCP. He also did a piano cover of Shin Gojira's Persecution of the Masses. He plays this very differently. He gives it much more upbeat and faster tones. So his version sounds like this if you were wondering. He's just going to tap this note more times, so his sounds like this. This portion is tricky depending on how you want to play it. If you're going to play it like me, it's going to be a little bit tricky. If you want to play it more easy, which is not like the original song, but it does simplify it, you're going to play it like this. You're going to hit the C's on both fingers of your left hand is going to play a C. But you're also going to play one on the right hand to match. You're not going to hold the right hand to C. Instead, you're going to jump down to the G down below, so you should be playing this. The The only difference now is on both hands when you play it, it'll be like this. Now you're going to move up a note every time. And then you're just going to repeat. Now you get into the main portion of the song. If you're going to play it like me, it's a lot more complicated. I often screw this up, but you're going to play the G on both hands, so it'll sound like this. If you use the sustain key, it sounds a lot better than this. Because with the sustain key, it sounds like this. It's really difficult because you're playing up notes, you're going up every time, but you're also having to remain this constant throughout the whole thing. It is pretty tricky. I'm still sometimes struggle with it. I do have mostly the hang of it, but if you guys struggle with it at all, just know that you can play a much more simplified version to make yours sound better. Here you're getting into the main portion of the song. I'm going to teach this one separately as well. On the left hand, you're going to be playing the exact same notes. Here's where we start to get difficult. I'm not going to play the octaves just for the sake of teaching you quickly. So you're going to play it like this. You're going to go from C to G, down to D sharp, up to F. This is the most difficult part if you're playing it on octaves. Solo with one hand, it's going to sound fine. If you do it from D to D sharp, and you're going to repeat this a little bit. And then you go down to C. Then you go back up to G, D sharp again, and then you're going to go way up to A sharp. On your right, if you play this with octaves, it's going to sound like this. If you put it all together, it's going to sound like this. The only difference, actually, I forgot to mention, the only difference is instead of going like this, you're just going to hit the lower octave Ds, so it'll sound like this. When you put it all together, it's going to sound like this. Now, if you could tell, I'm putting extra swing on the left hand, and I'm also hitting the notes a lot more than I should be. That's because I want to give it a more grand feel. You can follow my directions, or you can follow what I play. It's up to you. I play the more stylistic version, which makes it sound a little bit more grand, like I keep saying. Because you don't have a full orchestra playing with you, or a full choir or anything like that, you're going to have to take some creative liberties with this song to make it sound really good. From here, you get into the first part of singing. The way you could play it, which is the way the song plays it, is it doesn't treat it any different. It plays it like this. You could tell the only difference is instead of playing this, you're just playing. So in total, you're going to play C to G, down to D sharp, up to F, D sharp again, down to D, down to C, and up to F. That's the "Oh God, Give Us Your Protection" portion of the song. Now if you want to add some extra emphasis to the singing part, if you want to make it really obvious that there's a choir going on, here's how I play it, is I do it a lot simplified, in fact. I actually only play one note on the left hand, so it'll sound like this. I don't know why, I just think that sounds better. Now you're going to repeat the portion from earlier, this portion. So when you repeat this, it's going to sound like this. Now you've reached the "Let no blame lie at the innocents who have prayed" portion of the song. You could either A, repeat that same portion again for the third time, that's going to be the third time you play it, that is how the actual song plays it, or you could add some extra emphasis to the choir like I do, which will sound like this. The best part of the song, you're going to go on the left hand. I'll teach the left hand in a second because it is different. You're going to go from C to G, down to D sharp, up to A sharp, down to D, up to F, D sharp again, and then you're going to go way down to the low G. Then you're going to hit up to G sharp, A sharp. Once you hit the A sharp, you're going to hit C, then D, G sharp, F, G, high octave C. That's going to make it sound really cool when it's all put together. It'll sound like this. You're going to hold that G, and then you're going to play the rest fast. Now you're going to play octaves on the right hand to make it sound even better. It'll sound like this. The left hand is a little bit different than earlier. Instead of playing the thing is, with this part, you're going to play one note for every two notes. So it'll be like this one all put together. And then on this hand, if you're playing both, it'll sound like this. And then you're going to go to the F and to the A sharp at the same time. C on all hands. If you're playing octaves, it'll sound even better. Just know that when you do every other, you're going to hit this note every time you hit a note, so it'll sound like this. I know that sounds confusing, but it'll make sense when you see it. Full speed, it'll sound like this. Now you don't just hold this C, you're actually going to hit all four C's at once, and then you're going to jump down and play that same thing I showed earlier on the right hand, which is this. bit faster than you were the first time you played it. So when you put that all together, it's going to sound like this. Now you're going to be repeating the Persecution of the Masses Sacred Blessings Count for Nothing portion of this song. It'll sound like this. Notice the only difference is either way you play it, or it's going to always have this note repeating on the right hand in the middle. That is the middle G between the C's, D's, D sharps, and F's on the right hand instead of the left hand this time. This is because in the original song it's playing this at the same exact time. You get the point? I know it's not 100% accurate. You can play it the real way, which is this. Find that to be a little bit confusing. Your hands are jumping around way too much. I think it'd be much easier if you play it the way I play it. You have your pick also over whether you're gonna do I just pick the because I think it sounds better. So from this point you're going to continue, although you're going to lose a hand every time. And the next time you repeat this section, because you are going to repeat this section, it's going to sound like this. Once again, you lose a hand, so it'll sound like this. This is the only time you're not repeating the G. And there you go. That is the full song, Persecution of the Masses. Because I played it the original way at the start, now I'm going to play it my way here. So if you're going to play it in total, my version of it with the stylistic changes to make the choir sound more emphasized, you're going to play it like this. You made it to the end of the video. If you want to stop here, there's nothing else I can teach you regarding this song. So I guess bye, demon out. But for those of you who are going to stay and finish the song, here we go. I'm going to play it once you guys can play it with me if you're able to.
蒲田に
「 Alright, thank you guys for watching. This was a really long tutorial. I know, it was a very complicated song, so if you guys stuck around this whole time, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. D-Man, out.